Well, good morning, everybody. Raw Guy here. Um, Last couple trips, I've been noticing a little bit of dampness around the pinion seal on the back side of here, the front differential. And I got the same thing going on with the rear differential, except it's on the axle side. I was just going to replace the pinion seal on the front diff here, but on closer inspection, I have some play in the axles right up here. And it's not play in the U-joint, it's play right in the bearings. So what's going to happen if I just replace the pinion seal, eventually this is going to wear out, and that side's going to wear out, and it's going to start leaking from both sides here, and I'm going to get a lot of vibration going on at the front end, and I just don't want to have to do this again. I don't want to have to take this out twice. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all the bearings and seals in the front diff, so basically a seal rebuild kit, I guess. They call it a bearing and seal rebuild kit. So I'm basically going to take you guys through some of the steps that I have to do. Also, on a close inspection, as you can see this side over here, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but the A-arm guard is actually kind of smashed. Well, that happened over the winter time, and just to prove how well these little stock plastic A-arm guards work, is I actually now have a ripped CV boot over this side, over the outer CV boot's ripped. So I think that happened the last time I was out, because I ended up having to do a bike recovery, and that was pretty hard on my bike. Didn't want to be that guy to leave him out in the woods. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be replacing bearing and seal kit, some seals in the rear diff, replacing the CV boot here. So I'm going to get started. Basically, you can already see I have all the rims and tires off. And really, if you need me to show you how to do that, you really should take your bike to a shop. Okay, so disassembly. There will be 3 cotter pins, one for the upper control arm, the lower control arm where you're right in your ball joints here, and one for the tie rod end. So you're going to want to remove all 3 of those and back these nuts out. And once they're out, you don't have to disassemble anything here. Well, yes, you do. Actually, you have to take off your brake caliper. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking this off, which is, I believe, 2 12mm bolts. I think 12 12mm bolts. And I'm going to be suspending it up here somewhere inside, just so it's hanging and it's taking pressure off of the brake line. And there's actually a tiny little retaining clip right here on top of the knuckle that needs to come off as well. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get that done, and I'll show you how to break these ball joints apart here, and we'll get going from there. Okay, so basically what I've done is remove the castle nut here. There's a bolt set here. It consists of 2 14mm bolts down the bottom. The castle nut here was 17mm, and also the tie rod end 17mm, or 14mm or 15. I can't remember. I'm doing things kind of quick here, trying to get this done. What I've also done too is remove the shock just from the upper control arm, the upper A arm. I keep saying control arm. I don't know why. Cars. That consists of a 14mm bolt over this side and a 17mm bolt over the other side. Everything came apart fairly easy for me, because the last time I had to replace part of the steering stem, I anti-seize the crap out of everything that I take off. So that's definitely a good idea to do. So it might be hard or difficult to get this out, I'm not quite sure. However, I have a couple specialty tools here. One being the fork tool, which is just basically, you know, a tapered fork. You can use it to pry out on your ball joints here. And you do have to be careful with these, because sometimes the edges on these things are quite sharp, and they can puncture or slice the rubber dust seal on either side of your ball joint. You definitely don't want that. By the way, should have said this at the beginning, make sure that you drain the oil out of your differential, because when you pull this axle, you'll have yourself a friggin' mess. Oh yeah, I gotta take off the brake caliper. So I'll do that right now. What do we got? Sometimes these ball joints are pretty damn difficult. Like this one's being. There she be. Okay, so now we should be able to just, because I disconnected the shock, just slide this out of the way. Remove this. Ever so slightly. Your lower ball joint, don't use a regular hammer on this, by the way. Come on now. Release on me. There. Okay, I moved the camera over a little bit better so you can see. Basically, once you get everything unbolted here, you just want to take your axle at the straightest way possible. Give it a good yank, and you'll hear it pop, because all it's holding that in is just a tiny little clip that's inside, and then slide it out. And there, that's your whole assembly. It just comes out like this. And we're going to be doing the same to the other side. So there's no reason to actually show you that side. Save me some film. But what I'm going to do is to make things easier, and so that I can lubricate things and make sure everything's okay, is I'm actually going to be removing these A-arms completely, just to give me more space, more room to work, so I don't have to struggle or anything. So I'm going to get the other side off as well, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, well, in the process of starting to remove these A-arms, I obviously did have to remove the bumper last time for a reason, because this bolt that comes out here stops because the front bumper. So take the front bumper off. 6 12mm bolts, 2, 4, 6, and it's going to be 14mm nut, or 14mm bolt over this, and a 17mm nut. I think so. Yeah. Well, I got the other side off, and there she is. She's dick, boys. That's a good tear. I don't know how the hell that happened, but oh well. That's what you get without smartening up and running without a guard. Okay, so we're at the point now where we're ready to start unbolting components for front differential. Before you do anything else, there's a breather tube for the front diff you got to remove. Right here, I just kind of stuck it up out of the way. And there's 2 plugs on the back side. That's for your 4-wheel drive. Make sure those plugs do not get damaged. As you can see, I had them off before, and they're covered in dielectric grease, so I'm going to have to clean the grease out of it, along with the dirt, because I got pretty dirty there. And so yeah, there's actually only 3 bolts that hold the front differential on. Now, back here, so you can see it better. Right here is actually a slip joint. This rubber thing just kind of pushes back, and there's a slip joint here, and when you remove the 3 bolts here and go to take the front differential out, this whole assembly here, this universal joint assembly here, should come out no problem. Might be a little bit stiff to begin with. I know mine was, because when I had to replace this main engine seal back here, yeah, that was fun. It was a little stiff coming out, so you might just want to take note of that. So I'm going to get these bolts out of here, and I believe we are looking at a 14 and a 12, or a 14 and a 14. I think it's a 14 and a 12. Okay, so here comes the fun part. Even though you removed a crap load of components, when you try to wiggle this thing out, everything's going to be in the way. This is going to be in the way. You're going to bump into this, into this, into this, into this. So you're going to have some patience here. My plan is I'm going to try and roll the front differential forward, remove this slip joint here, if I can get it far enough forward, and bring it through the side, because it's too wide. If you look at it straight on, you're not going to be able to clear it, so you're going to have to bring it through the side. so let's give this a try, and I'll try not to curse too much. Okay, there's the slip joint. And try to lift up on both ends. These little things heavy. Alright. And watch the brake line. Okay. And bring her through. And there's your front diff. Okay. So, next is to remove this U-joint. I'm going to try and clean this up a little bit better before anything else. But you can see why it was leaking. There's play in there. So the bearing's probably loose, bearing's probably gone, which chewed up the seal. So that has to be fixed. In order to get at this nut down inside of here, in order to pull this yoke out, you need to remove the universal joint. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up, and then I'll show you guys how to remove that if you've never done that. Okay, so I got this cleaned up enough that I can kind of work at it here. What holds universal joints together are these circlips right here, or these half moon clips, and they're located on the top side of the cup, or on the bottom side of the cup. There's a little groove right in there, and you can kind of see where the blue paint is on this one. And what you got to try to do is, it's a lot harder when it's on the vehicle, is you got to kind of get in behind it. What do I do with that other screwdriver? You got to kind of get in it behind it and tap at it, so that it'll pop out. Just didn't clean that one up too good, did they? Okay, there we go. As I was saying, grab a hold of it, pull it out. And then there's two cups on the other side, right here and right here. The same ones you did to remove those circlips, and they gotta be pounded out. Alright, so my method to get these little cups out, especially if you have this assembly out like this, a little unorthodox, but it does work because I've done this before. Basically what you want to do is this yoke here has to force down in order to get these cups out. So you can't just pound on one end because it'll just twist on you. So if you take two hammers at the same time, not very hard, mind you, don't wreck anything, and just kind of tap on either side, see you're starting to loosen these cups out. That one looks like it's almost out, so let's try that. See how it's moving in there now? And you want that because that's what's going to release this universal joint. Okay, there she be. This is your this is actually your bearing. These little buggers are expensive, so be careful. As you can see, I keep them well greased as much as I can. But inspect the bearings inside while you have it apart. Make sure there's no broken or busted or rusted out bearings or anything like that. So we're going to flip that over, and we're going to do the same to the other side to get that other cup out of there. Okay, now that we have that free, that universal joint comes apart just like that. Yet again, check your bearings, make sure there's no broken or busted bearings inside. Check your shafts here, make sure there's no deep gouges. So we can set this aside here now and remove this retaining nut for the yoke. Okay, so I got this cleaned up a little bit here. We got to get this retaining nut out. You can do what you want. Try and get a wrench on there. It's going to be a 22mm socket. But the thing is, you're going to have to hold this from spinning as well. Ooh, I left it over there. So I just have a pipe wrench that I'm just going to slip on like this, keep it from spinning. And like I said, you guys can use a socket if you want. I'm going to use an impact. Completely up to you guys, whatever you feel comfortable using. Okay. Get on there. There we go. That makes life easy. Because you can see I didn't know that, there was red Loctite on there. So, you know, good luck getting that out. Okay. Now, this yoke, wiggle out like that. Washer. If you were just replacing the seal, you could stop there. Pop that seal out, put a new seal in, you're good to go. I'm going to be doing a bearing and seal kit, which means I'm going to be splitting the differential. So, oh yeah, throw my parts everywhere. Set that aside, set the yoke aside. You're also going to need to clean that up. Clean that up really good. Because you can see where the heat gets to it and where any corrosion gets to it as well. So that's going to have to be cleaned up super good. There's that shaft. See it wiggling? That's what's causing that seal to go. I'm just taking a look inside here myself. It's the first time I've taken a look inside of these. So, alright, I'm going to grab my seal puller. That's what they look like. They're a one-time thing, because they do mess up your seals. There would be the seal for the pinion, or the pinion seal. So, with that out of the way, what do I see in here? Okay, there's a retaining clip in here. I'm going to obviously have to remove that, and that looks like it's going to hold the bearing in. Yeah, that bearing's shot. I can see the balls moving in there. So that's definitely the issue. And it's a little bit corroded in there. Ooh, lovely. So, I am going to start splitting apart the case. It's going to be these bolts here. 12 mil, I believe. Is that a 12? Yep, 12 mil. And I'll start disassembly that. Now, Yamaha are being a little bit stupid. And I see they got the Torx bits, but they got little nubs inside of the Torx bits, so you might need a specialized screwdriver for that if you have to disassemble this this electric motor right here. No, my mistake. You are going to need that special screwdriver in order to get this assembly off. Either that, or see if you can grind out that little nub in there, which I may end up doing, because they have two Allen bolts here, and then that. So, yeah, way to go, Yamaha, thank you. Alright, so I removed all the 12mm bolts around. They're all the same length, so I didn't have to worry about trying to separate them. I'm just going to take my trusty manual impact here, rubberized, and tap on the bottom end of the case here. Try and release it. Looks like she's coming apart. Yep. Okay. We got some movement here. Yeah, there she is. Ooh, it's pretty nasty. Okay, so it doesn't look like you need to remove this for anything, so you'll be okay. Rubber gasket around the part of the differential here, so be careful of that. And you can definitely see where there's water mixing in it last time we were out, for sure. Okay. Main pinion seal here, we're gonna remove that. This bearing has to come out or be replaced. So that's gonna have to be tapped out of there. And this is your spider gear assembly right here. You can hear how gone that bearing is too. So, ooh, look at the crap coming out of there. Okay, I think it's on a map. Alright, so I'm going to end up removing all of these bolts here. And they are, well, they're 14, I think. Let's try our 14 socket here. Theoretically come out, although it might not come out until we get this over there too. So why don't we tackle that first, just to make sure. So there's a retaining clip in there. That's also for the crop that we gotta remove. So, okay, so I got that retaining clip out of there, and luckily enough, that bearing wasn't seized in there, and when I pulled up on the shaft, the whole bearing assembly came out. So that's the culprit bearing right there. You can hear that. That doesn't sound good. So there you go. There's your crown gear. And I don't know if that's another bearing down there or just a bushing. It feels like a bearing. I'd say it is a bearing. Down at the very bottom in there. So that one might be difficult to get out. May end up having to cut that one out and pound a new one in if the kit comes with it, which it should. Kit's going to be coming from all balls. So, okay. Let's get this assembly out of here. And there we go. Okay, now my leg's full of oil. That seal here you're going to need to pop out. That's the axle seal. And that is the bearing there. And that's also has movement in it, so that's definitely got to be replaced. So it's probably a good thing I'm doing all this. You can hear that too. It's pretty grubby. Okay, I managed to get that weird bolt out of there. So they got the Yamaha specific thing. They got a torque spit bolt head on there, but they got a friggin' little nub of steel in the center of it, so you can't use a friggin' torque bit on it to get that piece out. But I managed to get it out with just a sort of mini vice grips. So you gotta do what you gotta do. We're not, you know, anybody watching this video, including myself, we're not real mechanics. We're backyard mechanics, Shade Tree ATV. So, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. I'll probably end up ordering a regular bolt for it and get rid of that piece of crap. So, but anyway, a couple good taps on this motor assembly came out, and I thought there might have been something more elaborate inside of there, but it turns out it's not. It's just a you know, regular kind of rubber seal around here. There's the motor right there, and that just controls a gate. That's all that is, just a gate, just like that, and that controls the four-wheel drive and the diff lock. So if you ever wondering what controls it, it's that right there, that little collar. So it looks like to get that out, looks like there's something right here. I assume that is that entire shaft and just kind of threads in the bottom there. So that's the right one for one. There we go. Ooh, yeah, that's on there. Make sure I'm not gonna damage anything here. There. It's the sound we like to hear. Maybe not, it just looks like it's a plug. Maybe that shaft just kind of slides out. I got Loctite on everything. Yeah. Red Loctite. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That shaft just slides right out of there. Just like that. I'll work that way out, and be careful when you do this, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to have to hold that little key piece right there. Slide this shaft out. Make sure it doesn't get damaged. Now we're going to slide this key assembly out and separate it away from the collar. There's one piece there. That's the other piece there. There's your fork. Make sure that goes in the right way too. That's going to go in that way there with that L facing out. You're looking at the differential like that, and I'm doing this for my own reference too, so I can see what I'm going to do to reassemble it. So when I put this video together, and then again that collar is just going to come out, and that's where that fork rests, right inside of that collar. Slides it back and forth. Okay, there you go for that step. And there is going to be, I see down here, another thick retaining clip that's going to give me trouble. Same thing as what we had up in the, near the pinion seal to get this bearing set out, so I'm going to do that. I don't have the new kit with me here, that's why I said there's going to be a two-part video. But yeah, I'll get that out of there, and yeah, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so what I had to do here is, I wasn't able to get this bearing out of this race here because there's nothing in behind it that you can actually tap on to actually tap it out. So what I ended up doing is having to take it to a friend of my father's who's a very, very good mechanic, and he told me there's actually two ways to get these types of bearings out. Either way, you're going to have to destroy the bearing, so obviously it's not going to be reused. As you can see, there's actually no needles inside of this bearing anymore. And the way that he took it out is, what he did is first removed the needles themselves, and he took a little die grinder and he actually kind of widened out the race right here so that the needles would pull out, and what you're left with is just a hollow race like this, which has a lip on the inside. Now you actually have something you can grab a hold of, and the tool that he used to actually remove this is called a pilot bearing puller, and it's actually well, I'll post a little picture up above here. to show you exactly what they look like. And it's a little slide puller as well, so it made the job super easy. Once he got the two little jaws in behind here, basically what it does is open up with jaws that are facing outwards, and once it goes in, it clamps on, and then you use the slide to pull that little bearing out. So that's definitely a tool that I am going to have to pick up. Another way you can do it is actually physically stick this entire thing in the freezer, and what that'll do is actually shrink the bearing a little bit, and it won't shrink the aluminum, but it'll shrink the metal, and that'll make it a little bit easier for you to extract that. And another way is, once that is frozen in there, you can actually put little tack welds on the inside of the race once the needles are out. Make sure they're out already, and what that'll do is that'll actually pull the metal together when it's already frozen, and shrink it even further, and it should be able to just slide out. So anyway, that was the only way I can get that bearing out. So yeah, tip of the day. There you go, fellas. Okay, so I thought I'd just take a second and just go through basically how the four-wheel drive system on your Grizzly 660 works. Here you have the electric actuator motor. It's actually a 3-position gear type deal, and what that does is that runs on a rail, just like that. It just kind of syncs up like that, and attached to this rail inside of your differential is this actuating arm. And what that's attached to is this little collar right here. And as that moves, this is actually attached to it, and it's sliding in and out just like so. There we go. It's hard to do with one hand. And as that motor moves up, this collar moves up with it. And the 3 positions are actually controlled by this one little collar right here. So here is 2-wheel drive. See how it free spools. Here is 4-wheel drive. It would actually just spin. Here, I'll set this down. 4-wheel drive, it would just spin the spider gear like that. And the 3rd position is actually locked down inside of here, which locks all of the assembly together so that you have diff lock. So that, again, diff lock, 4-wheel drive, spinning the spider gears, 2-wheel drive, free spooling. So there you go. If you've never seen inside of the workings of your differential for the Grizzly 660, that's exactly how it works. Hey y'all, Raw Guy here. So I know this was supposed to be a 2-parted video on the removal, disassembly, part changeover being the bearing and seal kit, and the reassembly of the front differential of the 2002 to 2006 Grizzly 660. However, due to time constraints, I'm not able to produce the second part of the video. However, I did show you in the previous clips before this, how to remove and disassemble the differential. I will include a little diagram to show you the exploded view of the front differential. So if you have any doubts, you can pause the video just after this and just take a look at the exploded microfiche view of the front diff to help you along if you need anything. Part changeover is very easy. It's very simplistic. If you go with the bearing and seal kit from All Balls, I think it was around $73 Canadian or something like that, and that'll put you back on the road, fairly cheap if you want to do it that way. So yeah, my apologies for not getting out the second part of the video, but just, life happens, I suppose. So anyway, I appreciate your views. Please like, comment, rate, subscribe, and we'll see you out in the trail, guys. Thanks a lot. Raw Guy out.